Anwell, August 12, 1950. Certain sayings of the work. Serious conversations in my experience do not seem to be much good. A person says to me, "I want to have a really serious conversation with you." The trouble is that so many values attach to this word serious. What do you mean by this word serious? And again, what do you mean to have a serious conversation with someone else in the work, or with me? At one time I used to go down to West Kensington to have a really serious conversation with Mr. Ouspensky and found myself drinking a bottle of Montrachet with him while he looked really beautiful and said, "How, Nicole? What do you want to say? Have another glass of Montrachet?" And of course, by the time I really had his something lifted from me because he had put me into another state in which all these dark and evil thoughts that belong to the general idea of being serious were gone. In this connection, what we do not understand is that we have certain states a little higher and certain states a little lower, states a little more conscious and states a little less conscious, and we do not understand ourselves, because we take the present state or mood as representative of ourselves. In other words, we say I to the state we are in. We give it le sentiment de moi, the feeling of I. But practically all our states are different forms of illusion which really base themselves on internal considering. A man to be free, a woman to be free, must not go with internal considering, that is with making accounts against someone else. Now I am going to give you some of the sayings that were put up on the walls of the theatre that we built at Fontainebleau and decorated interiorly with colored glass windows, and all the rest of it. G had these sayings put up, in English, I think. The first one that I will quote is based on the idea that if a man gives up internal considering for external considering, he begins to be free. Now before I quote this saying of G, I would like to say to you, how much is all your life stuffed full of indigestible material such as thinking you have not been properly appreciated? The chief implement for living felicitously in life is to have the ability to consider externally always, internally never. Now let us suppose that a man or a woman in this work always wants to be properly treated according to his or her illusion de moi, their idea of themselves. They will collect, at every moment, negative impressions. Why? Because the whole object of the school at Fontainebleau was to destroy this internal considering which gives rise to so much jealousy, and so on. Of course, you must all understand that unless you begin to give this up you cannot do the second line of work, externally considering other people and not always being negative about the way they treat you, or the third line of work, which is getting quite beyond your private grievances and helping the general idea of the work, and helping me. I still fancy that many of you do not study yourselves from the standpoint of internal considering or making accounts against other people for not having treated you quite rightly. In such a case it is absolutely necessary that a further step in the work be taken to give this up. Now I consider the above translation of GS saying a bad one, and I would suggest the following interpretation to make it clear, because I hate the words implement and felicitously. Try to observe when you are making internal accounts through thinking that someone else has not treated you rightly and begin to think of the other person and of his or her difficulties. Begin to cease to make internal accounts which are endless and get onto a new level of thinking about how other people exist and about their difficulties and how you might help them by giving up your internal accounting, otherwise everyone will be your enemy. Now let us take the first saying on the list. Work here is not for work's sake, but as a means. I would like to ask you all, do you not think it is meant that you must not take things externally but see what effect they have on you so that you can work on yourselves? Work here is not for work's sake, but as a means. And so you must understand that coming down here where you get hit by me or by someone else has to do with this first saying. If you get negative, you will not see what it is all about.